everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Comment Section. That's right. You know, guys, we're recording this on May 1st, and that means in 2 days, we'll have been doing this show for 8 years. And you know what we decided for our 8-year anniversary? Why not try something completely new? Because obviously, that's what fans love. They love change. They love it. They say, I hate the same old thing. Switch it up. So we're going to. And maybe this could be an annual thing. Maybe this is where we officially jump the shark and lose everyone.
Oh, I think we did that a long time ago.
Yes.
We did that with the 3-hour Dark Knight Rises episode. Like, we jumped the shark a long time ago.
That shark has been there for a while. We might as well just rename this show Jaws because...
I'd set you up with a shark if it brought you back out into the world.
Oh, yes, exactly. And that's why now he has that shark repellent spray in his utility belt, because sharks, they have some other ideas besides just eating Batman.
Yes.
They want to take him to dinner and be like Shark Tale, right? Like fish are not food. They're just like, you know what? I can make you forget about your dead parents and it will be great.
Exactly. But yeah, CinemaCon.
Yes. So, for those of you who don't know, even I didn't really know that much about CinemaCon, but I have been noticing that more and more kind of entertainment shows have been covering what's been going on at CinemaCon. So, unlike Comic-Con or D23, which is an event specifically created for the fans, CinemaCon is created for movie theater owners. This is where a bunch of movie theater owners go to Las Vegas, and the movie studios put on these big panels to try to get the movie studios hyped about their upcoming slate for the next year. And boy, did we get some cool stuff this year, including a few things I've been waiting for a while. So,
nice.
We both have some stories. I don't know who we wanted to have go first, but if we wanted, a lot of change has been happening in this episode, trying to create this new annual thing.
Yes.
And look, producer Paul could not get us into CinemaCon. We tried. We were like, Paul, we'll fill out the media credentials application, and we'll do everything.
He said, and I quote, he said, you don't deserve the dignity of a lanyard.
That's right.
Which I thought was kind of like, really? I shouldn't be allowed to wear a lanyard? And he's like... No, he said, no, you're not important enough for a lanyard.
Yes, and if you thought Paul in general is just an angry dude, but when we told him that the tickets are $1,500 a piece, he lost it. He was trying to smash things. He was like, do you not understand how bad the economy is right now? But he did give us one thing. A dime.
Ooh,
he gave us a dime.
If you think about it, that is a 1,000% increase in funds.
That's right.
That, we should tell investors that because, typically, all these like investors and like publicly traded companies, they're all, and ALTD is already, it's just 4 letters.
Yes!
We could so easily be a publicly traded company.
That's right. Could you just imagine how exciting it would be to see our stock all the time on like CNBC or whatever?
Yes. So it already, and if we can tell people buy this stock now, it went up 1,000%. What other company? Do you think that there's another company in the stock market right now that just went up 1,000%?
I can't think that there is.
Crazy.
It's got to be us.
So yes. Invest now. Send altdpodcast@gmail.com. I don't know how you send money over email, but you can try.
Yes. Maybe we'll even accept counterfeit money. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Now, doing a lot of change, but some things never change, I believe. And that is that you are always...
I'm always Tails. That is not changing.
Yes. So I don't... What even is on the back of it? It looks like torches and flowers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Makes you think of the Olympics or something. But then you got FDR on the front, too, so... There you go. It's so small, I hope I don't lose it in the talks.
Yeah, if you lose it, then it'll be up 1,000% and then down 1,000%,
this kind of drama is why we need to have our stock on the news. I'm just like, oh my God!
Yeah.
All right. Let's hope for the best I don't lose it.
Yeah. Here we
Okay.
go.
Oh, looky.
Okay? I have like an eerie streak with winning these. I mean,
Yes.
I must admit.
One would almost think you bribed producer Paul.
Oh yes. And maybe I did.
Maybe.
All right, so the first CinemaCon thing I want to bring up stems from a very unexpected new interest of mine, which I never in a million years thought that I, of all people, would get into, which, like, earlier this year, getting a PS5, I started getting into a bunch of racing games, and then it turned into, like, idly checking, like, real-life racing, and then, like, kind of nerdily just researching statistics and stuff about racing, and it eventually turned into me actually going so far as to watching a Formula One race.
I think I know what movie you're going to bring up.
Yes. So, and one thing that the company that is Formula One is really pushing this year is this F1 movie starring Brad Pitt. And at CinemaCon, I guess they played the first 10 minutes of this F1 movie. But yeah, they showed some clips that we, the public, cannot see, but this is I mean, they're really trying to drum this up as being one of the bigger movies of the year. We'll see if that even becomes remotely true, but I mean, people do like to see cars go fast, and there some people involved also in Top Gun Maverick are involved in this. The thing I find interesting about this movie, as someone who's only just kind of, like, you know, very amateurly curious about F1, and by no means, like, is it one of my main hobbies or something I know that much about. But it is cool to see cars go fast. I do like the sort of, like, science fair aspect of... Because I hate real cars. We've talked about this before. I despise cars. When I worked for an auto company as a designer, I would detest a lot of the stuff, but I was always curious. Like, sometimes at the office and stuff, I would see, like, racing related stuff. We even one time went to, like, a kart racing in our city. There is, like, a somewhat newer, imagine basically like go-karts for grown-ups.
Okay.
There's like a pretty cool track. It's called Grand Rapids Grand Prix. It doesn't need to be gate kept. But I was actually gonna the thing is I ended up leaving before I finished, but I was going to design advertisements that went up in there, which would have been really cool if that ever came to fruition. But so back then I was even kind of researching that, like, the racing side, like, there's a part of me that now feels like cars should only exist for cool races, and like you should make, like, the science fair coolness of, like, we're gonna make the fastest car we can. And that's kind of what Formula One is, and I think that's cool. It's like a car that literally, like, legally cannot go out on the road because it's scientifically designed to be fast and not to be safe or, like, meant for roads. Which seems like, you know, the cool factor, not the factor of, like, polluting all of our human nature space with roads and cars, which is very lame. But very, very fast cars that go over 200 miles per hour, that's really cool. I like checkerboard patterns. So, look, there's some cool stuff to like about Formula One. So I've been just starting to check out some races. It can be kind of interesting to follow.
Now, when you say it's a hobby for you, you don't mean you're actually racing. You're just watching.
Oh, just watching at this point. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to trying
one
out
day.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to trying out the adult go-kart thing. I liked doing go-karts as a kid.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, where was I with the F1 movie? It's just called F1. This movie's chock full of, like, immersive race footage, they're saying, because they have made big efforts to, unlike any other past Formula One movie, like, try to make it feel really immersive and realistic, and that is done by actually driving that fast. Like, instead of, like, faking it for like cinema, which is perfectly understandable to do. They're actually like filming these scenes. Brad Pitt's actually driving, 180 miles per hour, and they've really kind of tried to find a way to capture that on video and to get a feel. I always appreciate that's sort of like a race movie's version of a practical effect, and I think that's really cool that they're essentially doing practical effects. I also like that this is it's interesting that this is like using actual Formula One, like actual drivers in Formula One will be in it. The actual teams, i.e., like Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, whatnot, are in it. But this movie is fictional and has a fictional F1 team and a fictional F1 driver played by Brad Pitt that's sort of like plopping these fictional elements into the real world, like what if these existed? And creating a story about because obviously, like, look, Brad Pitt is getting older, so it's kind of a story of someone who's been out of like Grand Prix racing for a long time, getting back into it, this should be a good movie. I actually was exposed to some Formula One a lot earlier when like the Ford and Ferrari movie came out. I don't know, 10
Ford
years
v.
ago or
Ferrari.
something. Yeah, Ford v Ferrari. And I somehow ended up seeing that back then and being like, I don't care about cars or racing at all, but that was kind of a good movie. And now that I have started caring a little bit, it's kind of interesting to have this this movie coming out this year. So yeah, again, no matter how the actual story and all the elements of the movie turn out, I think it's interesting, this like practical effect element of it. I appreciate that. So this is actually a movie I'm intending to check out. So yeah, that's F1. Some sneak peeks out from CinemaCon, and there's some trailers you can check out and stuff. Even though the first 10 minutes that they showed is for only the attendees of CinemaCon. Some of this other information.
Checked. They didn't post it on YouTube.
Yeah, but yeah, that is F1.
Oh, yes. And we should probably say that it is from Warner Brothers. And it is set to be released on June 27th.
Yes.
All right.
So, yeah, go ahead and go into your next bit. I don't have a ton of topics that are just only me. I think there's a lot of overlap with things that you're interested in that I would have also brought up, but I'll just let you bring them up.
Okay. Well, I'll start my topics talking about the Sony panel. I believe that was the first one they did at CinemaCon. So, one of the most exciting bits of news to come out of CinemaCon was we finally have a release date for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. That's right. Remember,
yes.
It was supposed to come out last March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even that would have been too long, in my opinion. But yes.
Yeah, so this comes to us via Variety. So, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is set to be released on June 4th, 2027. And the third film will begin with Miles Morales as a fugitive on the run from every other spider in the multiverse. And this comes from Phil Lord, who wrote the screenplay for the other two films, and for this one as well. He said, Gwen and his other friends may or may not be enough to help Miles save the family that's been the leading part of the entire system. So we remember, back in the second one, I know it's been almost 2 years.
Yeah.
In the second one, Miles was told that, hey, his father dying is a canon event, and he's supposed to let it happen. Miles is just like, no, we can't let that happen. By the way, it's been 7 years. It's not a spoiler anymore. His dad actually dies in the video game, the 2018 Spider-Man video game.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
interesting.
there's that. And this is what we got told from Phil Lord again and directors Bob Perschetti and Justin K. Thompson. We know how important this franchise is to so many people around us. We could not run it back. So we decided we need to take the time to make sure we got it just right. And Phil Lord also said it's going to be a massive finale to the trilogy. So, as much as we would love for it to continue, it sounds like Beyond the Spider-Verse is the final film of the franchise. So there are a few things that stand out to me about this new release date. So number one, it's coming out 4 years after Across the Spider-Verse. And look, as someone who was, I know a lot of people loved it, as someone who was really, really, really disappointed in that second movie and thought that the third movie would suffer from splitting this story that they had into two movies and dragging it out. I do feel better that, like, they're not just like, all right, chug along. It's just like they made sure to take their time with this one. So to me, that's a very good sign. Miles being on the run, that is very interesting. And again, I was so excited to see it in the movie, but I didn't know that, number 2 is just going to be a 2-hour version of the trailer. But to me, that sounds very exciting. And so we have that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit sad that they're talking about how this is going to be the end of the series. Now, maybe they changed their mind and it's just like, you know what, we have another story that's not necessarily Spider-Verse, like about the multiverse.
Yeah, they could
maybe
continue the style or Miles Morales movies potentially, but it's just the end of this story.
I mean, you could always just have a movie where, Miles goes to Peter's universe, they team up and fight, the Scorpion or whatever. You could always do that, something like that. Something more grounded. But that's interesting. And, I also think it is interesting how in 2027 we're going to get really the grand finale of 2 multiverse stories. We're going to get Avengers Secret Wars and we're going to get Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. I'm just saying. You know what that means? There's 2 chances to get Toby and Andrew in a Marvel movie that year.
Yeah, there's
and I'm
2
not
chances.
going to lie, I think they're in both.
Oh, interesting.
There we go. So I guess I'll bring up some images in a second if I figure out how to share on here. But yeah, as much as I was disappointed in that second one, I'm really looking forward to what they have planned for this third one. Hearing them talk about it does get me excited. So what are your thoughts about, I guess, the release date and what they have planned for Beyond the Spider-Verse?
Yes. Yeah, I'm very excited to see, to me it makes sense that this is like a finale. I mean, it was clearly building up to a big ending. My main disappointment, I think it's a massive strategic misstep to have a movie that ends on, like, the biggest cliffhanger and, like, the way I was thinking about it is like The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, the second movie. I always kind of felt like it kind of just ends because it's the middle. Like, it's the middle of the story. But the thing is, one, there's a book that existed that people could go read to finish the story. 2, they filmed it all at the same time, and the next one came out literally 1 year later, and continued the story. And so, like, now, like, there's almost no time I don't finish The Two Towers and just immediately start Return of the King. Like, that doesn't exist. And I feel like Across the Spider-Verse could benefit very greatly from just, like, in the future being able to just go right into the third one. But it took, like, 4 or 5 years to, and that's just a strategic misstep. I know it's hard to do animation, but so I'm not faulting anyone involved except for that Sony did poorly like they misused their resources. They could have decided, hey, everyone on the team making Beyond the Spider-Verse, we are pouring your resources into being able to get us the next movie in like 1 or 2 years from now.
Yeah, and like, I mean, they didn't even really finish Across the Spider-Verse until like the very last minute. And
Yeah.
there's stories about how even they were fixing stuff for the Blu-ray release. So
Yeah.
there's that. I also, I do blame Sony a bit for that. I also do kind of blame Lord and Miller for like they knew they weren't going to be done in time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But look, regardless, I think we're getting a better movie in 2027 than we would have gotten in 2024.
I mean,
Because-
that is an important thing to state. Like, I'm super in favor of giving time, especially for something animated like this. It's just like the strategic misstep also comes from the fact that like you planned half a story, half a movie.
Yeah.
Like you either did that and then didn't allocate the resources properly to finish the next one quicker. Or the other thing is you just shouldn't have planned an animated movie that takes a really long time that comes in two distinct parts like that. Like it should have been planned with more closure in the second one if you're going to have 2020. It is 5 years later, isn't it? I mean,
2027 to 2023, that'd be 4 years.
Oh, it came out in 2023. I kept thinking 2022. But yeah. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I've felt, and I especially feel having seen the movie, it was meant to be one movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere in the production, they maybe at the last minute decide we're going to split it in two. And
Yeah,
I
it
think,
feels that way.
yeah. So I don't know. Can you see? I tried screen sharing this.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right. So yeah, there we have what looks like, God, what is Miles' uncle's, his alter ego? Is it Predator?
It is.
Boy.
I know the song.
Prowler.
Yeah,
That's what it is, right?
Yep, it's Prowler.
So yeah, so there's the other Miles Morales from that other universe he was stuck in, where his Uncle Aaron is still alive. That was
Yeah.
an image released from CinemaCon, and let me see if I can share. I got a few other ones right here. All right, so we have this one. Looks like you can see Miles right there, and you see Gwen. Oh yeah, can you see these ones?
Yes,
All right. Then we got another one. This one. This looks cool.
it's cool. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
Miles versus other Miles.
Nice.
Then, yeah, another shot of Miles right there. I think this is the last one. Yeah, just one with him in the mask. Because, I mean, look, we all love the Spider-Man mask. It's one of the best masks in all of superheroes. So, yeah, there we go for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse coming. Finally, we know on June 4th, 2027, just a month after Avengers Secret Wars. So,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah, like we got to keep an eye on watch this space because we might be saying Marvel's back soon. We'll have to see. So yeah, is that all on that? I know I've said my piece on
Yeah, that's
Beyond
all
the
I had
Spider-Verse.
for
All right.
Spider-Man Across Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, as I don't have a ton, I will make this next one the last of mine for this episode, and then we can kind of just cover the same topics that you bring up. But the next one, I didn't know that this was in the works at all, and I think that's because part of the announcement was that this is details about it happening. But so at CinemaCon, which is what this episode is about,
Yes.
Lionsgate confirmed a September 12th release date for The Long Walk, which is based on a Stephen King novel, which I believe was originally released as I believe that was originally a Richard Bachman which was like his alter ego kind of. He would release some books as Richard Bachman, but the Long
Like
Walk
Lemony
is
Snicket.
yes. The Long Walk supposedly was like Stephen King's first book that he wrote, but he technically he it didn't get actually published until much later. But Carrie was the first published Stephen King novel. But The Long Walk is to me an underrated and one of my favorites of Stephen King's. I think it has a really nice simplicity to the concept. Like something I like about Stephen King books is that he comes up with these really clever concepts and just plays with them. And a lot of people talk about how he can't end books well. But, you know, I think I and a lot of people maybe don't care that much because part of it is just like his books are based on these interesting concepts that sometimes almost come across as gimmicks. But if a gimmick works, then it works. Because The Long Walk is about some weird competition that goes on where almost like a Hunger Games-esque scenario. Obviously, this came out way before the Hunger Games, but you know, but you know, it's all everything's derivative. The Long Walk is these kids. I think they're mostly pretty young, like teenagers or something. They are in some contest where they just start walking down a path, and literally, like, if you stop walking or anything, you die. And so it's to figure out the last person alive, and it takes place from the main character novel. I just wanted to Ray. Is that his name? Anyway, the main character, it kind of is very personal. Follows it's one of those books that's kind of very mental. As the exhaustion sets in, and it starts like little vignettes of him remembering his life, and it's very personal about him, like kind of as he's doing this very long walk. That's very interesting, and so it's one of those things that could be very hard to do in a movie, but it is one of my favorites because I love the simplicity of that concept of just like seeing what happens in this weird dystopian future where people are forced to walk until they die, and just the person who survives till the end wins, quote unquote. So yeah, we confirmed a September 12th release date. We know that it is going to be directed by Francis Lawrence, and you know, I connected the dots a little bit because I'm a very smart person. I noticed that
Like Sherlock Holmes.
He directed all of the Hunger Games movies minus the first one. So Catching Fire, Mockingjay Part 1 and 2, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and then another upcoming one coming out after The Long Walk, Sunrise on the Reaping, which also had a CinemaCon story, but I wasn't bringing it up because even though I actually am a pretty big Hunger Games fan, I haven't kept up with the prequels. Like, I know the trilogy and the trilogy movies. I haven't kept up after that.
There was only 3? I swear there was like a 4 or 5. Was there only 3 movies?
There were 4 movies because the last book was split up into 2 parts.
So they followed the Harry Potter path.
Yes, they did. There's Mockingjay Part 1 and 2, which it took me forever to see. Speaking of like Part 2s being... that one did only come out 1 year later, which is good, but it actually took me several more years to finally watch it. But I had read the book, so I knew it happened. Anyway... So connecting those dots, we can see there's some success in doing a dystopian thing. The thing that's interesting though is The Long Walk is a much subtler dystopia. You know, you're not really getting into the why. Like, why is the world like this? It's much more personal. It's just like, just accept the world is like this. Now let's see it through the lens of this person who's dealing with this going on. But yeah, directed by Francis Lawrence, and let's see, stars Cooper Hoffman, David Johnson, Garrett Waring, as some of the and it actually looks like Judy Greer and Mark Hamill are going to be in it. I'm assuming
Skywalker himself.
Yeah, I'm assuming smaller roles because they're further down the list, but interesting. Yes. Yeah, so The Long Walk is an underrated favorite. I think it's actually, I haven't read a Stephen King book in a little while. I think it's the most recent one I read, actually, and actually finished. But yeah, that's coming from Lionsgate, September 12th.
Oh,
this year.
Yes. Did you bring this one up during the upcoming 2025 episode, or was that a different Stephen King thing?
I don't think I did, because I really felt like, and everyone can fact check me by listening to that episode, give us the listens, but I feel like I never heard of this at all until CinemaCon.
Oh, okay.
But I think I brought up a different Stephen King one though.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't The Long Walk. It was it was a vampire one. It was is Salem's Lot the vampire? Yeah, I think Salem that already had one though. It might have been Salem's Lot. It might have been some.
Okay.
What is that one called? I'll think of it later. But yeah. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
Oh, yes. So I guess I'll go on to my next thing then.
Sure.
So we got a double dose of Spider-Man news at CinemaCon. That's right. So, and we finally got a title for Spider-Man 4. No, not the one with Tobey Maguire. Maybe one day. No, this is for the Tom Holland Spider-Man 4. And this comes to us via The Hollywood Reporter. The movie is going to be called Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's right. Now, speaking of Tobey Maguire, to paraphrase him a little bit, recently I was going through some old comics, and that title seemed a little bit familiar to me.
Familiar because it's literally exactly the same?
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
So, the film is titled Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, in the comic books, Brand New Day is the title of a Spider-Man comic book storyline that ran from January through July 2008, and it followed the controversial One More Day storyline, and that story was one of the main inspirations for Spider-Man No Way Home. So it does feel kind of natural that, okay, they did kind of One More Day, let's follow it up with the next story in the comics. Now, in the Brand New Day comics, it retconned a lot of Peter Parker's history, where his marriage to Mary Jane Watson never happened, Harry Osborn was brought back to life because he had been killed off years ago, and everyone had forgotten that Peter Parker is Spider-Man because right before One More Day, he had publicly revealed his identity in the Civil War storyline. And one thing that this storyline gave us, that fans of the video game will love, is that this storyline introduced the villain Mr. Negative. Now, they also revealed the logo of the movie, and that one is actually a bit different from the other Spider-Man movies in the Tom Holland series. So we have Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is set to be released on July 31st, 2026. Now, first of all, I really like this font. And a lot of people were pointing out online, something looks pretty familiar about the logo. Something looks pretty familiar because if you think of that font, if you look at the merchandise or comics of Spider-Man from the late 2000s, there's the font logo right there, Spider-Man right there. So,
yeah,
if you grew up loving Spider-Man in the late 2000s, they really knew how to play to you.
Yeah.
So, we have that. And this movie, unlike the other three Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, this one's being directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who also directed the Marvel movie Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and was going to direct Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. By the way, how excited are you to see Avengers Kang Dynasty? Because it was supposed to come out tonight.
Oh,
Today was the day it was supposed to come
yeah.
out.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yes. So he talked about how at CinemaCon he has always been a fan of Spider-Man and has been drawn to Peter Parker's humor and messy humanity. And Cretton described the movie as a ride that we haven't really seen before. Now, Tom Holland, he wasn't there because he's filming Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey movie, but he did send a video message to the audience. And this comes to us via Variety. He said, I know we left you with a massive cliffhanger at the end of No Way Home. So Spider-Man Brand New Day is a fresh start. It is exactly that. That's all I can say. Now, when they announced the Brand New Day title, it did kind of get a little mixed reactions, and I can understand the people who don't like the title, who are nervous because of the title, because the Brand New Day storyline was the beginning of the Dan Slott era of Spider-Man, which I personally was not a fan of. You know, there's some good stuff that came out of it. Spider-Verse clearly was one of them, but I don't think the movie's going to be a direct adaptation of that storyline. I think maybe the only thing they'll take is Mr. Negative. But I think when you look at what Tom Holland has to say, that what I love about this title is that it shows that this Spider-Man has a fresh start. And that is something that the character really needed. Because, I mean, I think it's the case for you. I know it's a case for a lot of people. And maybe you can talk about it too, but like, you know, as someone who did not like the first two Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, it felt like Homecoming, people kind of gave a pass to. But really, Far From Home, it felt like it lost a lot of people. Like, the issues about him being an Iron Man knockoff, that really solidified it. But then, No Way Home really brought it back to the core of who Peter Parker is. And this feels like an exciting new fresh era for the character. I honestly don't even think of it as Spider-Man 4. To me, this is the start of a new Spider-Man series that just also happens to have Tom Holland and is kind of a continuation, but really this is the start of a new era. It's kind of like when a new comic book writer comes on to write The Amazing Spider-Man. And Daniel Destin Cretton, I think that's his name. Destin Daniel Cretton. He did Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and I'll be honest, I didn't love that movie. But it was more of a case of like, this just wasn't for me. Like, but like, I watched it, and even though I didn't like it, I'm just like, you know what? I see potential in this kid. I see potential, and so. Well, I didn't really like the overall movie. The stuff, like the personal stuff between Shang-Chi and his dad, and really the human side of the movie, I think that he did a really good job. So I'm really excited to see what he'll do with Spider-Man. It's really an exciting, fresh start. And to me, look, I know a lot of people are super hyped for Avengers Doomsday. For me, this is the Marvel movie I'm most excited for coming out next year. So I cannot wait. So what do you think about what we got from CinemaCon about Spider-Man? We don't call it Spider-Man 4 anymore. It's Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Yes, Brand New Day. Well, yeah, all I can really, like, as much as I liked No Way Home, I think it kind of worked for me in spite of all of the things that I wouldn't think would work. I think that this Spider-Man 4, I called it Spider-Man 4 again, Brand New Day, I think that this will be a real test, because, I mean, they've got to make their kind of biggest character work. They've got to. It says Brand New Day. I really hope they're taking that as like establishing what Spider-Man and then therefore kind of Marvel movies are from now on, like a rebrand. I'm skeptical based on some of the previous decisions that we've seen that they're really gonna do that. Anytime I mean, again, No Way Home was entertaining and good and all, but anytime I have like a hope for where they're gonna take Spider-Man, those hopes are always dashed. They're not gonna do a slightly lower stakes, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man type of movie under like the Marvel Cinematic
Won't
Universe.
they?
I feel like that's what I want. I mean, again, I'm not as familiar with these stories that it may be based on, but my hope is something like that, and it will be a real test because if it is like that, I'll be really excited. If it's more of the same, then I may be too worn out.
More like the John Watts trilogy.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah. So now, we'll open up this rabbit hole, shall we? Let's open up this rabbit hole. So, Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming out at an interesting time. It's coming out right after Avengers Doomsday and right before Avengers Secret Wars. So that's the movie between the two Avengers movies. A lot of people are wondering, when does this movie take place? Will it take place before Doomsday, or will it take place the same time as Doomsday? And there are some rumors that the reason... Do you know about the cast announcement they did for Avengers Doomsday?
Or you're just referring to like what we talked about in an episode with the Robert Downey Jr. and
the chairs.
Maybe.
Oh, they did such a stupid thing where they announced like 15 cast members, okay? And instead of doing a 1-minute video that would have broken the internet, they dragged it out all day. Where every 15 minutes they revealed a new name and the camera panned to like the back of a chair with their name.
Wow.
So there was that. And let me tell you, I thought it was stupid, but I'm not going to lie. Did I have YouTube open the whole day to check? Yes, I did. And you could tell when they were going to move the camera over because they would start playing music. But like,
that's weird. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know what? I went there to see if Spider-Man was going to be in it, and he wasn't listed.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that because Spider-Man's not, so far, one of the announced characters for Avengers Doomsday, which is a bit shocking when you're doing this whole gimmick of bringing back Robert Downey Jr. to play Doctor Doom, who else is going to have more of a connection to that than Spider-Man? So, do you think that this movie will take place before Doomsday, or do you think that, like what some people speculate online, that happens at the same time, and that's why Spider-Man isn't there? I mean, they kind of did that with Ant-Man the Wasp, but it was more towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
But like, do you think it'll be its own thing, or is it part of the Doomsday Secret War storyline?
Yeah, I mean, my instinct at first would just be like, I think they just haven't announced it yet, and they're just like stringing out. But then, like, hearing the whole chair thing and how big of a deal they made out of that, it does make me maybe lean more towards maybe there's a reason for that timeline wise. So, yeah, I could see it being timeline-wise at the same time.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth on it because I kind of think, like, I mean, scheduling-wise, it would make sense, but I'm just like, do you want to kind of do two big things like that back-to-back?
Mm-hmm.
Like, would you want to kind of... Because what they did with Ant-Man and the Wasp was people talked about how it was kind of a refresher. We had big Infinity War. Then we had little Ant-Man with little stakes, and then big Endgame. Would they want to do that again? I don't know, but maybe you could do something cool of what is, because I'm guessing that because people don't know who Spider-Man is anymore, or Peter Parker, that maybe he's not a member of the Avengers anymore. So maybe you could do something cool of like the Avengers is having this big battle with Doctor Doom. What is kind of the reaction of like all this stuff to like the average person in Marvel, and you see it through Spider-Man's perspective? Because of all the Marvel characters, he's the most average person. So maybe they do something like that. I don't know, but I don't know. I do just feel like no matter what, I think Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to put the character in college. Please, no more high school Spider-Man. We have done that to death now.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be in college, and I think maybe it's just hopeful in me. I think this movie will feel less like the John Watts trilogy. I think it's going to feel, because all the Spider-Man movies, you could kind of say they follow a certain era of the comics. I think this one's going to feel like the Stan Lee, John Romita Sr. era. I think it's going to feel more like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man or the 90s cartoon. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
So I guess before we move on from Spider-Man Brand New Day, I have this question to ask, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people have been, debating. We want street-level Spider-Man. We want more multiverse. I just want something that's good. No. I want something that isn't Iron Man. I don't want an Iron Man Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Will they? Because, there's been some rumors and rumblings. Do you think that Toby and Andrew could pop up in this one? Will they try to do No Way Home again?
I'm getting at a point where it's like I can't predict the behavior of this seemingly just strange movie making company. I mean, they're bringing Robert Downey Jr. to play Doctor Doom. Like, I can't predict anything anymore. So like with that in mind, yeah, I guess they'll be in it. What I can say, like, to be honest, like, look, I love Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. And I always am of the belief that if a movie's good, it's good. But yeah, even though it's cliche among fans of Marvel and movies to say you're sick of multiverse stuff, I am starting to really become cynical about it. Like, I am starting to go my feeling is starting to be like, not everything has to be nostalgia. Can we form new memories? Like, can we not imagine a life that is better in the future? Like, not everything. Like, let's just move on. Like, not everything needs to come back. Not everything needs to be remade. Just imagine a new future, a brand new day, if you will. Like, we can have the same characters, but like, just there's so much stuck in nostalgia. Like, the entire movie industry is based on nostalgia right now, and it's exhausting. And at a certain point, I just want to not even have a single reference to a past. like I don't want to see any of these people anymore at a certain point. Like, we're done. We got all the people back in the movies. We had everyone in the Flash, and we had everyone in No Way Home, and we had everyone, like, we saw all them again. Like, we were nostalgic for a little bit. It's fine. Like, and it's over now. Do I think that's what they're going to do? No, I think they're going to go do nostalgia.
Here's what I will say. People talk about, was the multiverse saga from Marvel a mistake? Have they done a bad job with multiverse in general? Like, the whole concept? Yes. Did they overcomplicate it? Yes. The CW Flash did a much better job of multiverse. But was it needed for Marvel after Endgame? 100%. They lost Captain America, they lost Iron Man, they lost Black Panther, they ruined Hulk, they ruined Spider-Man. Going forward, Marvel it was just everyone's favorite characters were gone. It was the MCU was not. I had said it for years, and I was right. The MCU was not going to survive with Thor, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel. Those characters weren't enough. Doctor Strange. Those weren't enough. They needed big anchor characters, and X-Men and Fantastic Four was so far away. And by bringing in Toby, Andrew, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, Deadpool, they brought back leaders, faces to the MCU that it desperately needed because they got rid of those characters. It was needed, and I promise you, the MCU, we talk about the MCU, how it's in kind of a rough shape right now. It's getting better, but it's in a rough shape right now. I promise you, it would have been officially dead had they not brought back those characters. It was, as much as we don't like, as much as they butchered kind of the whole concept of multiverse, it was needed.
Yeah.
They needed it after kind of a lot of mistakes they made with Endgame and post-Endgame. But look, my personal preference, we don't need multiverse to bring back Toby and Andrew. Just make Spider-Man 4. Just make Amazing Spider-Man 3. That's what we want. Do we need we didn't need a whole trilogy of frickin' Ant-Man. Like, can we just get Spider-Man 4 and Amazing Spider-Man 3? That being said, I don't think they'll be in this one because I think they need something big for Secret Wars. And I think the big pop of Secret Wars will be Toby, Andrew, and Hugh Jackman. I think that'll be the big pop. And I think just the idea of Toby and Hugh together leading a group, I think that will be the big thing. Now, would I like to see Toby and Andrew in this one? Look, I'll just be honest. You know, if we have a chance, and look, maybe it's just because I'm thinking about, you know, we lost Kevin Conroy, we lost Val Kilmer recently. I'm kind of like, you know what? If you have the chance, just do it. If you have a good idea, just go for it because now is the time to do it. Don't just like put it off and think maybe one day we can do it because you know, with all this stuff, you Chadwick Boseman too. We don't know. Like, if we have the chance, just go for it. But I don't think they'll be in it. I think they're saving that for Secret Wars, which is why I don't think they announced Hugh Jackman for Doomsday either, because I think they're going to save that for Secret Wars, because they really want to try to recreate the Infinity War Endgame thing.
Yeah.
And, like, you remember the portal scene? Remember the portal scene in Endgame? Just imagine a whole movie. Like, you know what? Screw the portal scene. Toby and Hugh Jackman interacting together, that's more exciting than the portal scene. No offense to anyone.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. But, yeah, so I guess before we move on from Spider-Man, what do you think about... Do you think it will be more like the John Watts Spider-Man movies? Do you think... It sounds like you think it might be similar to that. Do you think it'll kind of be a fresh take? What are your thoughts about having a new director take over, like Destin, who talked about, you know, he loves Spider-Man's humor, Peter Parker's messy life? I don't think we talked about that. What do you think of having this new director come on?
Yeah, I mean, the new director might just simply be the refreshing that it needs. Yeah, and the feeling that it might be more similar to the John Watts ones, you know, I don't even necessarily know that I think it'll be more similar to it could be different. I just don't know if it's going to be different in a way that isn't extremely safe. Which is just, I feel like, I think that's maybe the theme of a lot of my critiques with a lot of the last few years superhero movies that I've been kind of falling off of, is just that Everything is very safe. There are very few unique artistic visions in all of this, and yeah, I mean, I guess one thing that, I mean, speaking of nostalgia, if I'm taking that cynicism and fueling it into
Real quick,
something that might actually,
I would just
yeah.
maybe counter, like, I don't think we've been safe enough. I think maybe one of the problems is we're just getting flooded with these new characters nobody cares about. Like,
I don't
there's a
think that
reason why
new
Spider-Man's up
Yeah.
here and Doctor Strange is down here.
Yeah, but I don't consider a different character to be like, that's not experimental. Like, it's having a character that isn't a recognizable IP. Like, from, I guess, from a movie executive standpoint, that is less safe because it's not as recognizable of an IP. But like, that, to me, the bar on that is so low. Like that. That's just a low bar, that having a different character is enough to be considered not safe. Yeah, but yes, speaking of the nostalgia, if I'm fueling the cynicism about the over nostalging of everything, I could see it working for me in the sense that if what I'm really perhaps what I am really wishing for in a Spider-Man movie is informed by that a little bit. And in that case, like, we're seeing, and let's not even open this can of worms yet, but with the Superman movie, there's clearly, like, and maybe it's a massive failure at doing so, but there's clearly, like, inspiration from a style of a movie that is in the past. And if I were to imagine the Spider-Man version of that, it might be, we want this to feel like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man ones, or something like that. That might be that version of that, where it's like, we're not just having the characters in it, we're actually going to make it feel like that. And then also with this Fantastic Four First Steps movie, that's similar, where it's like we're capturing a feel of a superhero time that has passed. Which is a different kind of nostalgia than just pointing and looking at the characters that you've seen before and being like, I know that guy. So I would be more in favor of, like, let's do less. If we have to pick a type of nostalgia, I would be in favor of doing less of the, hey, look, it's that guy. Hey, it's that reference. I get that reference. Yeah, that actor. Or even that character to some extent. But yeah, pointing and just going like, I get that reference. And less of that and more like an abstract stylistic homage, where everything might feel new, but in the back of your head, you're like, this feels like Sam Raimi Spider-Man is back, even though it's a different director and it's, 20 years later.
One franchise I think does a great job with that is the video games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the video games, like, it doesn't, like, some days I can feel like, man, this feels like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Sometimes I play it feels like the 90s cartoons. Some days it feels like Mark Webb's movies. Like, that video game series, which I love so much, does a great job of, like, doing new stuff, but, like, it still feels like the character we know and love.
Yes. Video games are great at doing stuff like that. They have the flexibility in that. But, I don't have anywhere that thought is going. It's just, if I'm not being, sort of candid with my, these sort of more cynical takes on the progression of things and my changing attitudes about it, and if I'm just simply sitting here going like, yeah, that would be cool, or this would be cool, it'd be less of a podcast. So I think it's a little more interesting if I'm expressing to perhaps a broader audience of superhero films that you can expect more from it. You can like new things. It is possible for you to like something that is not just what you liked when you were 7 years old. You can like a new thing, even if you're 31 or 81. You can like a new thing and a new style of something. But yes.
Yes, and you know the Spider-Man video games have shown that.
Yes.
So has Spider-Verse. But, well, yeah, the first movie has a lot of Peter Parker. That's where you get, that character versus, like, the second one's very much Miles Morales, so it's hard to compare
Yeah.
that one. But, yeah, the video games have done a great job with that.
Yeah, definitely. So, but what if we move on to one final topic for this episode, and then we will move and do the rest of CinemaCon in part 2?
Oh, yes. So, after, that's all I had for Sony. So, next up was the Warner Brothers panel. This story to me is probably the most surprising one to come out of CinemaCon. And you know what? It kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people. So, according to comicbook.com, Warner Brothers is developing a new Looney Tunes movie, a new Tom and Jerry movie, and a new Flintstones movie, and all three are set to be released in theaters. Now, we didn't really get a lot about Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry, but we do have some previous reports about the Flintstones movie, which was announced back in 2023. So, via Deadline, the movie, this is from Deadline's report in 2023, the movie's going to be titled Meet the Flintstones, and Warner Brothers president of feature animation Bill Damashiki described the film as an origin story for the Flintstones characters. It sounds kind of like Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas, that live action movie they did in like 2000. So, and it's going to be developed by the Super Mario Bros. Movie directors Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic. And as I said earlier, to me this was the most shocking thing to come out of CinemaCon, because this attitude of like, oh, we're making a Looney Tunes movie, a Tom and Jerry movie, a Flintstones movie, that's very different from what we've kind of had from Warner Brothers under Discovery, because we've talked about, like, The Day the Earth Blew Up, the Looney Tunes movie, which I saw. Mwah, chef's kiss, perfection.
Yeah, I continue to hear good things about that.
Yeah, oh, it's so good. That was going to be a tax write-off, and then Ketchup Entertainment saved it. Coyote vs. Acme was canceled, and then after what happened with The Day the Earth Blew Up, it's being saved again by Ketchup. So Warner Brothers got rid of 2 Looney Tunes movies, and they've been removing animation from Max. Boy, do I miss when it was called HBO Max, because what kind of a name is Max? Yeah. But they're just taking stuff off, and so it's shocking to me. But, hey, look, if we're going to get something new, I'm all for it. I just hope, please, for the love of God, don't have it be another live-action animation combo like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Please just have it be fully animated.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm a bit shocked about that. And I'm also a little bit surprised. Like, look, I mean, Flintstones was always TV, but, like, even though the Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry shorts were released in theaters, everyone who thinks of them as movie stars is dead now. Like, we all think of them as TV characters. So, to me, that's a little surprising that they're going and making movies of them and not giving them TV shows. But, look, I'm up for more of these franchises. Like, Looney Tunes is my favorite animated franchise of all time. And after that, I would have, under Looney Tunes and Simpsons, I would put the Flintstones up there too. And I really enjoy Tom and Jerry. It'll be interesting how they do a full Tom and... Well, look at that right there.
There he is.
Got your own Tom right there.
Yeah, speak of the devil.
The scary thing is if you look in the corner and you see a Jerry on your book stand.
Oh, yeah, like, oh. You're supposed to get that.
Yes, you hand him a hammer and say, "Go get him, boy."
Yeah.
So I'm really surprised by it, but yet I like this idea. I like having these characters still around, still being reinvented. Personally, I think they'd be better off on TV because that's where I think they work better. But look, after the day the Earth blew up, you want to do more Looney Tunes movies, and if you got a great idea, go for it. Looney Tunes would be the one I'm the most interested in. This Flintstones one that we have a lot more details of does sound cool. It does sound, I don't know, maybe you could do like a romance movie about how Fred and Wilma and Barney and Betty got together and do something different than the Viva Rock Vegas movie. Tom and Jerry, I mean, you'll have to populate it with other supporting characters, but they did a great direct-to-video movie called The Fast and the Furious, where it's them in a race, and you have all these other crazy characters in the race with them. Like, there's this old lady voiced by Charlie Adler, who's Buster Bunny in Tiny Toons, and she was great, but she dies at the end. It was awesome. So, surprised by this news, but I really like it nonetheless. So, what do you think about this news about doing new Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, and the Flintstones movies? And I guess more what you think about the premise of what's being described as an origin story for the Flintstones. By the way, I should also say, we have had, even though I talked about the live-action Flintstones movie, there was an animated one in the 60s. So all these characters have been in animated films in theaters. It hasn't just been the Who Framed Roger Rabbit style. So they have been in animated movies before.
Right. But yeah, it's been a long time. Hey, look, I mean, we've seen some success apparently with making this stuff work in the 2020s here, in the roaring 20s that have been perfectly good so far. So yeah, I mean, I like the idea that these characters, these franchises aren't just kind of sitting there and dying. I don't personally have that much attachment to Flintstones. I remember seeing it, like, it would be on a couple times, and but I never, I don't have much to comment on Flintstones. I'm really not that familiar. I did watch a lot of Tom and Jerry. I remember, as a kid, really liking the movie, and later returning and thinking it didn't like age particularly well. From what I remember, even when I returned to it, it was quite a while ago. But I remember it blowing my mind that they talked. I was like,
"Oh, that movie!"
Yeah, yeah.
When they turned into Disney characters.
Yes, I was like, they can do that. They're talking now. Yeah, this is just look, I had no taste. Look, you might have had taste as a child. I did not.
Well, I didn't see that until years later.
Yeah.
And I literally...
Was it good? I don't remember.
No.
I thought that's what I had a feeling it wasn't good. I just couldn't
There's a moment where I'm just like, do I tell you? It's just like
yeah.
Like, no. It was blasphemy to have him talk.
I know. But again, when I remember revisiting it and thinking it didn't age well, but remembering as a kid that I would watch it over and over again. Anyway, let's hope they don't make them talk again.
I think they learned their lesson. You know, there probably is like somewhere in a rule book at Warner Bros. Saying, "Don't ever do that again."
Yes,
'cause I think it flopped at the box office too.
Probably. So yeah, excited about Tom and Jerry. It should be interesting to see what they do with that. Definitely cool, and more Looney Tunes is always good as well.
You know, we'll open up this little rabbit hole again. Now, we don't know a lot about the Looney Tunes movie. All we know is that they're making a Looney Tunes movie.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think could be in it? Because I'm just remembering that right around the time Discovery took over, they canceled a movie mid-production that was called, I can't remember what it was called, but it was a Bugs Bunny musical movie. And like they had actually recorded some voice tracks, and you can find online Eric Bauza as Bugs Bunny singing some songs. Do you think they would maybe revive that, or do you think it'll probably be like a new movie with like just the whole group together? Like, do you think, because Day the Earth Blew Up was just Daffy and Porky, do you think they'll do like a kind of ensemble thing of all the Looney Tunes characters? What do you think? Could you see that movie being revived, and who do you think would be in it?
For being in it, I don't know. I think I would lean towards, getting an ensemble after we had one that wasn't. But, maybe they'll find, like, another pairing that works or something like that. So, and that could be interesting to find different pairings.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think they'll revive... I think it was Bye Bye Bunny. I don't think they'll revive it, but, yeah, I think probably we'll have at least a little bit of an ensemble. Maybe even a trio of Bugs, Daffy, and Porky. They were a great trio in the Looney Tunes show. That was in Cartoon Network in the early 2010s, so maybe they'll do something like that.
Yeah.
So, guys, there we go with part 1. That's right, part 1 of our CinemaCon special. That's right. Should I maybe throw something out there?
Go ahead.
You know what? We're recording this on May 1st. In 2 days, it's going to be Free Comic Book Day. Can I maybe just make a couple suggestions of what to check out?
Yeah. Oh, that actually reminds me. I did want to pitch. I know we do what we've been watching recently, and we can still do that, but I also thought, like, we could do an end of... Like, most podcasts have plugs at the end because they're, like, people in LA who have stuff going on. We don't really have stuff going on, but we could essentially do plugs where we plug something, where we go, like, hey, check this out, or, like, hey, or, like, you could be like, hey, I've got an animation that's coming out soon, which, yeah, for mine for this time would be, I've been working on an album and it's coming out on June 6th of this year. Leaf Bones on all streaming platforms. I've been working really hard on it. It's the hardest I've worked on a music project.
Just to be sure, you want to name drop a few of those platforms?
I love Spotify has done nothing wrong ever, and I love them. They're a great corporation. Apple Music, Apple's is a wonderful corporation, and they've never done anything wrong. Deezer, Amazon Music, they've never done anything wrong. So yeah, go ahead on any of those platforms. Actually, you should just go to leafbones.com. You should go to leafbones.com and support Bandcamp, which is my platform of choice, and Apple Music. I subscribe to that as well. But even though Bandcamp was also just bought out by a large corporation, it's still better than everything else. So yeah, June 6th, and yeah, follow at LeafBonesX for updates. Very excited that that's coming out. But yeah, that's that. So that's the first plug segment. Yeah, what's your plug? What are you going to bring up before I interrupted?
Yeah, so in 2 days, it'll be Free Comic Book Day. And you know what? We'll be releasing this after Free Comic Book Day, but we can still tell you about, hey, here's some new stuff to check out. Because right now, this week, they have Free Comic Book Day. Here are some books that, if you're going to a comic book store soon, you should really check out. In the Absolute DC universe, a brand new universe for you to get caught up on. Check out Absolute Batman, that's my favorite, along with Absolute Flash. That's my second favorite. And, we have a brand new Marvel universe, the Ultimate Universe, different from the one in the 2000s. That's great. Check out Ultimate Spider-Man. Pick up the first trade collection they have of it. I think it's Married with Children or something. I think that's the title. So check out that book. Right now in Marvel, they have Joe Kelly taking over Amazing Spider-Man. And as I always say, whenever a new writer takes over, that's the perfect time to jump onto a book.
Yes.
So if you really wanted to get into our mainstream Spider-Man comic book, right now is the perfect opportunity to do it. Amazing Spider-Man #1 and 2 are out right now. Also, shout out Summer of Superman special, this big special by Mark Waid, Dan Slott. I can't remember the other writer, but he's great too. I think he does Absolute the Flash. They did a great special, Summer of Superman. It's awesome. And one book I'm really excited about is Batman 158 and Batman 159, which is the sequel to Hush by Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee. And also, if you want another kind of sequel, right now they have Batman The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, a series that's been going on for a little bit. Once again, by Jeff Loeb. The original The Long Halloween was an inspiration for both Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight and Matt Reeves' The Batman. So any Batman fan should check out that storyline. So you got a sequel to it. And I flipped through a little bit. Robin's in it. So it takes place after, I believe, Dark Victory. So there's that.
Yes. Yeah, great recommendation. I'll have to listen back to this episode to remember since I'm going to forget in 2 seconds. But I will definitely be going to one of my local comic book shops and supporting them. So, yes. I guess those are our final notes.
Yes.
Maybe we'll call it. So, yeah, with that, thanks for following this on this journey. We finally got through all our technical difficulties, yes. And make sure to tune into the next episode where we complete our CinemaCon coverage.
That's right. To be continued for all of you.
To be continued. So don't stop falling down the rabbit hole in the meantime. Continue falling down into part 2. Keep falling down that rabbit hole.